Hi everyone, I'm back. I have had quite the time these past couple of weeks. I mulched all around, my home, mulched a place for my fire pit and everything, and it took me over 2 weeks to get that done. And then on top of all that, the lawnmower, I finally got one that works. John Deere, get what you pay for. Yeah, you do, you do. Same as I bought a microphone for this Android I have, and it's not working, so it was a cheap one. So I'm hoping you can hear me. I'm talking as loud as I can. I do have a soft voice, so I'm not yelling. I'm just making sure you can hear me. Now, let's go over we're going to go over some years of the Fire Horse. And last time I went over 1960 to 1906. Right now we're down to 1846. In 1846, the diplomatic relationships between Mexico and the U.S. became very strained when the U.S. took control of the Rio Grande. They were not happy. And then April 25th the following year, the Mexico, they went across the Rio Grande, and they attacked the United States. And of course, President Polk at that time declared war. It was about a year later that Mexico surrendered, and we kept Rio Grande, which is pretty large. And then Britain had control of the imports. And there was during war times and different things like that, there was cheap, cheaper crops, corn crops. And so they put in a corn law. So what happened is that during the war, the you know, suppliers during wartime, they would have fluctuating, wheat prices. And that meant that the salaries were low. So in 1839, the anti-corn law came into effect. And this increased the wheat prices and the wages and better wheat. So that all happened in 1839. And then in Japan really only did their exporting to the Dutch. And so they started talking and working with Japan to open up their export to other countries. And so in 1844, they did open it up, and then in 1844, the United States went back to them and said, "Hey, we want to be part of this too." And in 1853, um, the request to open up limited export to the United States and to these other countries, it was all approved. Now let's go into 1786. 1786, Frederick Fitch II was the most feared admiral, and throughout Europe for his military prowess. And then John Fitch, he invented the first steamboat. And this first steamboat, its first travels went from Trenton, New Jersey to Philadelphia. Many years later, that steamboat did burn. But he was having so much difficulty getting investors to invest in his steamboat. And then Robert Fulton, before the steamboat, he was they were doing exports to overseas, and they were getting attacked time after time by pirates. And the most feared pirates were the Barbary Corsairs. July 23rd of 1786, the U.S. signed a treaty with Morocco, and this treaty assured safe passage for U.S. trading. So that happened in 1786. The year of the fire horse, 1786. And then the year of the fire horse, 1726, Brazil was known for its coffee. They had taken the market in the coffee. But later on, the Caribbean and South America, they got into the competition with coffee. Let me see, there's one more. And most importantly, who has ever read the novel Gulliver's Travel? It was published in 1726. So I went over several, about 180 years in between the fire horses, the year of the fire horse, and the many changes that took place during that time. And what is so important is that starting yesterday, which was March 25th, March 25th is when the year of the fire horse went into effect. The year of the snake is gone, and now it's the year of the fire horse. Anything you have been thinking about doing or wanting to create, that painting you want to paint, that song you want to write, that book you want to write, um, a job, a part, you have something that you love to do and you want to go into your own business. It's the year of the fire horse. Get going. Now, I will always say, if you have a job, wait until what you create starts making money before you quit your job. But until the next time, I'll go over several more hundreds of years of the fire horse. And I'm hoping you all have a blessed day. And I'll talk to you all very, very, very soon. Goodbye.